All right. All right, Chevra, I want to start with the nigun. I want to sing the nigun that we sang it last week. We're singing it again this Leil Yom Kippur. It's been like in my heart the whole Elul and Tishrei. It's the words are for Yale Tachnanenu Me'erev V'Yovel Shalasinu Boker. It's the first tefillah you say right after Shmona Esrei and Leil Yom Kippur. I don't know how many of the Chevra in the shul know it, but I want to say at least the Chevra that you hear that will sing it strong Leil Yom Kippur to make sure that we carry it really strong. That it goes Yale, that it goes up, yeah. Da 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 my da 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 ma ya mama oh ya 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 da 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 ma ya ya ma ya mama ah ya da 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 ma ya ya ma ay da 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 ma ya ya ay ma 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 da 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 ay ya ay da 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 ma ya ma ma ya mama, ya mama, oh ya ya, da 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 ma, ya mama, ya mama, ya maya, da da ma, ya mama, ya da 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 ya 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 ma ya ya da da ma ya ma ma ya ma ya ma ya da 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 ya ma da 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 ma ya ya ma da 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 ma ya ya ay da 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 ya ya ya. Remember I told you that we learned many times that nigunim that have three parts, that's you sing the first part, the second part, the third part, and then you sing the second part again, like this nigun, 1, 2, 3, 2, right? And that's the kavan of Yud Kei Vav Kei. It's not like this with every nigun, but in Chassidus that's how it is. It's Yud Kei Vav Kei, and you could see by tzaddikim, not just when they were singing. Sometimes when they would be dancing, they would also be Mitzayah Shem Hashem. Everything about them was Shem Hashem. So that's why a nigun like this, that's why it kills me sometimes, for instance, with the original nigun. When people sing it, they only sing Yud Kei Vav. They don't go to K. You know what I'm talking about? Gotta bring it. Gotta end the Adam Mahala. You have to finish. You have to fill out Shem Hashem. Okay, the month of Tishrei is sponsored by the Silver family, memory of Bas Yefega Bas Yisrael, and by the Polsteins. The Eloi Nishmas Frida Sina Bas Yitzchak, by the Avram family for the Refuah Shlema, for Moshe Asher ben Malka Leah Bas Rachel, and for Eloi Nishmas Miriam Reisel Bas Moshe. The week is sponsored by Meir and Yaakov Silver, Eloi Nishmas David Moshe ben Reb Tzvi, by the Levis in honor of the recent Aliyah of Cindy's parents, Mendel and Marsha Kleinberg, and today by Dr. Peter and Rosemary Warshawski on the occasion of the 56th Yortzeit of Peter's beloved and sorely missed Abba, Ephraim Fischel, Ben Moshe Yaakov, Neshama Shadav Aliyah, Shbi Meli Tiyasher, and all of us, Be'ez Hashem and Shemayim. 56 years, wow. Okay, let's get out these pages. This is we're finishing today the piece that we began on Monday. The beautiful piece that we began learning from Rav Erez Moshe Doron, based on Rabbi Nachman's teachings on Yom Kippur. I'm going to attempt to do a very, very fast recap of what we learned on Monday. And that is that it's all based on this pasuk, Yomim Yutzaru V'loi Echad Bahem. Hashem, there's many days that were created, and there was one day that Hashem is like basically saying, this is my day. It's Yotza Min HaKlal. It's a different day from every day of the calendar. What we were speaking about was that when a person comes to up there, Be'ez Hashem Ad Mea V'Esrim, so he needs testimony about what he was like, what his life was like. So if you were filled with days that really there was no chiyus, and not just no chiyus, there was no shefa, there was no abundance opening. You didn't bring down more shefa into your life, into the world, into your life. Those days come and testify against you and saying, this Yid had these days, but what did he do with it? Nothing. Not just nothing sheba nothing. We got into it the other day. However, it works also on the opposite. That when you had days that were filled with emes, with light, with love, or at least with longing, with a ratzon, to want to connect, and to want to understand what today is all about, and Hashem, what did you have in mind for me today? Those days come and testify and say, this Yid really lived. He was alive when he was alive. Reb Chaim Shlomo, what was the quote you said to me after Shir on Monday?
Malcolm Forbes.
What did he say?
On his Matzeva, it says, while he lived, he was alive.
Yeah, I love that. Malcolm Forbes Matzeva, it says, while he lived, he was alive. That's unbelievable. That's an unbelievable thing. While he lived, he was alive. I love it. I love it. You remember the story? I just shared with you a quick story. Remember the story? I said it so many times that about this, when the Slonimer Rebbe was one time traveling. One of the previous Slonimer Rebbes was traveling, and he stayed at some krejmer, some inn, and after a long day of rebbing, whatever he was doing, he saw this shining Yid in the lobby of this motel, and he couldn't figure out what this guy's zach was, and he wanted to go up to him and ask him what's his story, who is he? But by the time when he decided to go and try to meet up with him, people stopped him in the lobby and were just basically asking for brachas, v'chulei. So the Rebbe's going to say, I don't know, he's going to give brachas, he's going to be with them. And by the time he was done helping people, he looked up and that Yid that he saw was gone. The same thing happened the following night, that the Slonimer Rebbe is in this lot, in this krejmer, and he sees this Yid, he's shining even more than he did the night before. So this time he says, no, I really got to make sure, I got to find out who this guy is. So he makes his way towards him, but someone spotted the Rebbe, and again asked for brachas, and of course the Rebbe is going to give brachas, v'chulei. But and again, the time he opened his eyes, that person the shining Yidela was already gone again. Then the third, if the story ended here, it'd be a really very bad story, very, very bad story. By the way, I'm sure there are a lot of stories like that end here. They're not stories. It happened, but we don't do anything with them. In our lives, these stories happen all the time. All the time. We just don't wait for the third day. It's a deep Torah, actually. We stop in the middle. Anyway, the third day, the Rebbe is in the lobby again, and again he sees this Yidla, and he's shining even more than the first night and the second night. And this way, like I always visioned it, that the Rebbe's like, so I'm not Rebbe right now. I don't care someone's gonna come up and bother me, and someone's gonna stop me. So I always have the vision of like, he just charges the crowd, and he just like goes like this, doesn't listen to anybody, and anyone, and that's gonna come and ask him for brachas, and he grabs this Yid and he says, "Hey, like a Yid, Shalom Aleichem, who are you?" And this Yid says, whatever his name was, he was a tailor. He says, "Avram, the tailor." He's like, what's your Indian here? What are you doing here? He says, "Well, we have a small family business that we've been operating here in this village for a long time, for many years. And we come here around this time every year. So I'm just, doing what the family does." "What do you do?" "We're tailors, Schneiders." In Yiddish, you say. Schneider is a tailor. Rabbi Chet is really tailor, Chayat. That's what it comes from. That's what it comes, right? Tailors, they were tailors. The Rebbe says, no, who are you? I see there's something going on. He says, "I'm telling you, it's what I do." Like, "But where'd you learn? What yeshiva did you go to?" "Yeshiva? I was a little kid. I went to yeshiva a little bit by some local yeshiva." "But no, who's your Rebbe? Was your base medrash that you were, delved into the secrets of the world?" He says, "I'm not sure what you're referring to. I actually wasn't even such a good lamdan because I suffered from dyslexia. So learning was very, very hard for me as a kid. I actually didn't really learn that much." So the Rebbe's confused. He's wondering what happened to his Rebbe vision, He starts. He says, "Okay, I'm sorry, Zagebench." He starts walking away. "Oh, wait a second. This Yid says to him, maybe, I don't know. I'm going to share something with you, Rebbe. I didn't tell anybody this, but I don't know. Maybe it seems like an opportune moment. Because reading is so difficult for me. Reading and learning is so difficult for me. So even Kriya Shema Shalamita at night is hard for me. So, and I barely learn, and I barely can really daven with the Siddur too, but I decided Yid has to have a relationship with God. So I made up something that I do every night. I don't know if it's so special or whatever, but I'll share it with the Rebbe." He says, "Yeah." He says, "Well, every night before I go to sleep, I made up a tefillah and I say it every single night, and that's like basically my whole Yiddishkeit." He says, "What?" He says, "Well, every night before I go to sleep, I say to God the following. If you don't think that tomorrow I could live the dreams that you have for me, then don't bother waking me up. But if you believe that tomorrow I could live the dreams that you have for me, so I'm just asking, give me one more day."
Sounds better when you sing it.
When I sing it.
You sing that in Melbourne.
You're an observant Jew. Nachon. I put it on an album. I love this story so much. I sang it now. I was mesmerized. I remember I was driving down the 443, and I heard Rav Shlomo give over this story, not exactly like this, but it's never happened to me before, that I had to pull over and just not drive. I had to be with what I was just hearing, because I felt that that's my Torah, and that's your Torah, and that's your story, and that's my story, whether we say it or not, So be'emes is that whether we understand it or not, the only reason why God gave us life this morning when we wake up is because He does believe that we could live the dreams that He has for us today. The shaila is what happens by the end of the day. Did that carry through to the end of the day? So if my day is lived with the notion that Hashem believes that I could live the dreams He has for me, those are mamish days. Those are days that come and testify and say, this Yid lived. He was alive while he was alive. He was alive when he was alive. So Shlomo, you want to take a chair? There's a chair here.
Reb Shlomo heard him say, don't ask for Hashem to fulfill your dreams for you. Ask Him to fulfill His dreams for you.
His dreams, nachon. His chalama, nachon. Now, so what we learned in Likutei Maharam was, what happens to a person? How does a person how do you fix this? How many, we go through life and we have like what he say, like we carry a sack of pagarim meitim, of corpses. Remember, that's what he was saying. You're schlepping corpses with you throughout life into the next world. It says, how do you take care of this? How do you fix this inyan? So now we're going to see what the answer is, and I hinted it at the end of last year, but now we're going to see it hopefully inside. I have one more page. Kima, so now we continue inside. This is the Likutei Moharan Kuf Ayin Tet. Kima la satainis, a fast day is actually the tikkun for wasted time. Look at what he says here. Kima la satainis sheme'orer u'mechayem esim. The exaltedness, the level, what a fast does is that it awakens and enlivens the dead. What does it mean, the dead? Hainu, hayamim she'avru b'choshech, the days that passed in darkness, says Rebbe Nachman. This is considered tchiyas hamesim. Ma'ila satani sheme'orer u'mechayem esim. Hanu yamim she'avru b'choshech, the days that passed in darkness, the days that I forgot bichlal that I'm living God's dream, or that if there's any inyan here, those days I wasted. The Netflix binging days, but it's not even that. You could be doing a lot of good things, kiviyachol, just to fill your day, but you don't even feel like that has anything to do with why you're in this world. Umosif kveyesh le'avinu begashmius. Now let's understand what this means lemaisa, how a fast fixes this. Kikshe mit'aneh, when you fast, nimtza ein lo chiyus v'koyach mizeh hayom. You don't have any life, vitality that's been given to you from that day itself that you're fasting, because you're weak. You're not drinking or eating on that day. And nonetheless, you're serving God, Rebbe Nachman says. Where does it come from? So the Rebbe says, Nimtza, third line, she'oved Hashem b'koach sheyesh lo mi'etmol. Rebbe Nachman says, what did you basically do? It looks like what you did is that you are actually serving God from the koyach that you have from yesterday. Ki belo zeh me'ayin lo koyach. If you didn't have it yesterday, then how would you have koyach for it today? So by Yom Kippur, it's even more like, we see this even more bifrat, what Chazal said about the 9th day of Tishrei, how it has to be dafkin and inyan, of eating, of getting energy. V'chulei, Chazal even liken that to like fasting on Yom Kippur. Because you're going to be drawing life to be able to be alive just in a Gashmi level from the day before. So Rabbi Nachman says, what does this do? Nimtza. She'oved hayom b'koach shel etmol. You are serving the day itself through the life force of yesterday. Al kain mevi chiyus be'oso hayom shel etmol. So what did you end up doing? You're not just taking yesterday's vitality and putting it into today, but what did you end up doing, Rabbi Nachman says?
Elevating both days.
You also elevated yesterday. You also took yesterday, whatever chiyus you got from yesterday, you also elevated the past. You see what he did with this? Trevor, you with me? I'm not mind reading. I want to make sure, because this is, without this, we can't, in tam lamshich. Rabbi Nachman says when you fast, and you're being able to be an Eved Hashem on a physical plane, where do you get koyach from? You get it from the day before, but what are you doing with that day before? You elevated the day before as well, because now it's standing as an aid, as a testimony, as a witness, that, hey, this Yid used lost time, kivyochel, wasted time, and he's plugging it into today. That means he elevated yesterday as well. Similar to the Torah Rabbi Nachman says about tefillah with kavana, that can take up on its wings all the tefillahs that weren't with kavana. You elevate them as well.
Are we saying are we saying that the wasted time from the day before was wasted? Maybe, perhaps, chas v'shalom, but maybe it was.
Right.
But you can still elevate the day. It wasn't a total loss because you're using it to strengthen the next day. You're drawing from it.
Right, but he says, but why dafka through a fast? Because on a fast day, you're not receiving any chiyus from that day itself, which means it must be coming from the day before. Yeah, Yosef?
Any fast?
So there you go. So far, it seems like any fast. So far, it seems like any fast.
Yeah, can I suggest that in addition to wasted time, it's like an unrealized potential. Realized and unrealized.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
Because
Now, in the parentheses here, Rav Erez just explains, Shenoten kivyachol hatzdaka lekiyumo shel etmol, which is very, very important. You're justifying your existence yesterday. You're justifying yesterday's existence by the way you are today. Ki mikocho, because in the koyach of yesterday, you're serving Hashem today. Ve'achar kach, and afterwards, kshemitane od, when you fast more, v'azai en maspik lo koach shel etmol, ki kvar nechlash haguf. What ends up happening, you have no koach from yesterday, because the body is already too weak. ואז צריך להשתמש בכוח של ימים הקודמים למפרע עוד. This keeps on saying, the longer you get in the day, the more you gotta use days from before to fill the rest of your day, right? נמצא שמביא בכל פעם חיוס והארה לימים הראשונים שנפלו ומסו. So throughout the day of the fast, every moment of serving Hashem without the strength that's coming to you from today, you're bringing up Tet Tishrei, Chet Tishrei, Zayin Tishrei, Vav Tishrei, Hey Tishrei, and even before, and like throughout the whole year. Like that's really what Yom Kippur. Well, right now he's just saying it's a fast, but in our, obviously we're learning towards Yom Kippur. That's what's basically happening. You're mamish metaken. You're fixing all your days, because that must be where you're getting koyach from to keep on going.
It seems like Yom Kippur, more than any other fast day, because it's a full 24 hours. It's not like another fast day where it's from sunrise to the end of the day, which is like a half a day.
Could be. I mean, and then you'd have the shaila of just Tisha. How does Tisha B'Av fall into the...
I'm not suggesting other fast days don't also fall into it, but especially...
במיוחד. עד שאפשר להתענות כל כך, שיצטרך להשתמש בכוח של ימים שינק משדי אמו, ואזי מחיה ומאיר כל הימים. Rabbi Nachman says, what's really possible to do with proper consciousness of a person while they're fasting is that you go back and fix all your days from the time that you were yoinek mishdei imo, that you were nursing from your mother. You're lifting up all your days, and then all the tailors of the inner child come out to play, what everyone talks about today. It's like everything suddenly shows up, and you're elevating and fixing all the days you ever had. That's the words from Rabbi Nachman. Let's continue to unpack this. So Rav Erez says, if that's the case, nimtza kivyachol shalinu latzum bli gvul. So what does it seem like we should be doing? Always?
Fasting.
Just fasting. Can we spar yavein?
Is that why certain tzaddikim fasted like during the week and only eat on Shabbat?
Learn there. I'm not going to explain why tzaddikim, the real reason why tzaddikim are fasting. I don't know. Certain tzaddikim, though, decided at a certain point that that's not the real avodah, and that's what we're going to get to in a second. Like, it seems, Rav Erez says, it seems we should just be fasting without an end, in accordance to the days that we are on in accordance to our lost days, in accordance to our days that ki'idu, the unrealized potential days, to restore and to enliven the past. Omnam. גם משום כך, אכן עסקו הצדיקים בדורס הקדמונים, בתניוס הרבה, לזכוך גופם בנפשם, ואף הורו כן לאחרים. Like Yosef said, we find by tzaddikim from previous generations, they were very busy with the inyan of fasting all the time, to refine their body and their soul, and they also told other people to do so. Now, when you learn Igeres HaTshuva, when you learn the Tanya, the Alter Rebbe speaks about this as well. And I only knew one person in my life that did what the Alter Rebbe said based on the Tikkunei Zohar, that for every, we spoke about this once, for every Shvicha Zera Levatala, you have to do 84 fasts. I knew one person that did this, and even his mashpiyim in Chabad told him, you shouldn't do those things. That's not what we should be doing. It's not for this door anymore. And the Alter Rebbe, though, there goes and says, the tikkun for these things is really one gesund fast and a lot of tzedakah. But that avoda of like hardcore stuff did exist at a certain time. It did. Ulam, but now he says, the light of the Baal Shem Tov came to the world. Ulam, bisheba Baal Shem Tov la'olam, the Baal Shem Tov came to the world. Hora she'en tzorech od baderech shetanyus v'sigufim. He said that way is done. The afflictions, the fasting, that's not our Indian anymore. Va'af Rebbe Nachman histayeg miderech zo betor shita letikun hanefesh. Rebbe Nachman, who used to fast all the time from Shabbos to Shabbos, even as a kid, he would fast from Shabbos to Shabbos. He stopped doing that as well, and he explained later on in life that once he said, had I known what the potency of his boydedus, I wouldn't have ever done those inyanim of fasting from Shabbos to Shabbos, all these crazy fasts.
But he could
That
have got
ended.
to that level of knowledge without what he went through, though.
If, you know what, it's irrelevant about him, the shaila is about us. The answer is, no one will know. But the question, that's not the real question. The question is, le'inyanenu, what is the eitz of the tzaddik? And the eitz of the tzaddik is, no. Yeah.
What shifted, though, in the consciousness for him to be able to say, our generation doesn't need that now? Like, I would think maybe the opposite, our generation.
Right.
Fasting.
Right.
But like, no, that's like, okay,
Right.
maybe Bodhi, you're right. He's like something
Right.
shifted where they're like, okay, whatever we had before, when they probably were fasting anyway because they didn't even have any food, but like, we're like now, like, no,
Right.
that's not it.
So there's two answers, because by the Alter Rebbe, he'll speak about Chalishus Hador, Yeridas Hador. So he'll speak about the weakened, just the basic evolution of generations, which also was, it somehow became weaker. He'll speak that way. Rabbi Nachman will speak about just the mala of his boydedus. He'll go into that place of just saying, listen, this world of his boydedus, Chevra, whatever you think you're reaching in fasting, if you really stick to it, if you're really kavua with his boydedus, that level of being real and lifting up your days from yesterday, that happens through that. That's what that's what Rabbi Nachman would say. And the Alter Rebbe would talk about Chalisha Sador. Huh? Yeah. And one time I walked into, you mentioned Melbourne. I remember the first time I went there, Chevret took me to, they have a beautiful 770 there, Gutnick's 770. Have you ever been to Melbourne? It's beautiful mikvahs and the base medrash, and it's a replica, right? It's gorgeous. And I was there, the first time I was there was Gimel Tammuz. That was when for me everything began to, with the Rebbe. It's 20 years ago. And almost 20 years ago. But when I got into the shul, I saw it was like 9:45, and Chaver slowly coming in. It's like not really, and even at 10 o'clock when they started Shachris, it was pretty. I turned to the mashgiach there. I said, "What's going on here? Like, why is it so, like this is such a coveted place? Like, what's that?" He's like, "You're the Sederis," meaning he was basically saying, "No, this is like the minhag." The minhag of the place is already nikba al pi, the chok of Yeridas Sadoros. He's like, this is the world we're living in. What do you mean? This is what it is. It's just the descent of generations, and this is why it's like this. So that was interesting for me. That's the place in me that I never really fully connected to, big time. But as a shita, as a shita that's nikba. So Chol HaMoed Sukkos, it's coming up. Yeah. We're going to have Be'ez Hashem. Like every year in Chol HaMoed, Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll have Reb Chaim by us again. Let's look back inside, Chavre, third paragraph. Second to last line. Mahi imken, if fasting is not the zach, meaning full-on fasting, fixing our days, day after day after day. Mahi imken ha'etza ha'ye'utza lanu shekachosenu dalim. He's holding like the Alter Rebbe here. He's saying, what's the eitzah for us that our strength is very weak? And we simply, even if we take it on, imagine us, like 20 of us right now would say, like, we're fully taking this on. How long would we last as a group that just says we're going to fast from Shabbos to Shabbos?
2 weeks.
Huh? Half a day? 2 weeks? Wow. Till noon, yeah.
Say collectively.
No, right,
Did
collectively.
our fast for the week already.
Huh?
We have 2 already this week.
Yeah.
We need to do that.
So it says like this. Umegale Rebbe Nachman. So Rebbe Nachman reveals, and this goes to what Yosef brought up. Umegale Rebbe Nachman halo yesh yom shekolel is kol hayomim. there's a day that includes within it all days. Yamim yutzaru veloy echad behem. There's a day. What does it mean when we say that there's one day that God's like, listen, this is like my day. This is different than all days. This day includes within it all days of the year. Shekvar amarnu yamim yutzaru velo lakadosh baruch hu yesh yom echad behem shayom yom shelo yom shekalul mikulam. So again, yamim yutzaru, days were created. Kol yom hu yetzira bifnei atzmo, kotev Rebbe Nachman. Rebbe Nachman says every day is its own majestic, beautiful creation. Velo echad bahem, but one is Kilu Hashem's. Zeu Yom Kippurim, kmo sheperush Rashi sham, shu tanis shemechaye kol hayamim. That this day, you see, if there wasn't a Yom Kippur that had the power to include within it all days of the year, we probably would have to fast, like God knows how many days, because nothing else it only covers the day before. Right? That what we said before, that it enlivens the day before. So usually fast days are like just okay. It's a fast on Tuesday, okay. Then Monday, if I was a bum, this picks up Monday, right? And it gives me koach for Tuesday. But then there's this day because Hashem has basically plucked this day and said, "This is my day." Meaning, within this day, everything is included. All days are included in this one day. V'hayom she'anu mosrim kol retzonoseinu. We're giving all of our retzonos. It's like ultimate surrender. Umevatrim al kol ma'avienu hagashmim. And any physical lust and desire, whether it's good or bad, but it has to do with physicality, is removed from the table. L'shem Hashem, me'ir yomo shel Hashem al yedei ta'ani yasenu. Then the day of Hashem begins to illuminate in my day through my fasting. B'chol yameinu kulam, v'chozrim kulam liot chaim kayamim v'smeichim. And therefore, what did I do when on this day that Hashem said, listen, this is my day? I go back to Hashem and say, oh, this is your day? I'm not getting in the way at all. And I'm going to fast. And I'm going to be removed from, I'm going to detach myself from anything at all that is kivyachol, always serving me, the body in this world. Hashem says, you're going to do that? So let me let you in on a secret. This day actually includes all days of the past year. So if you go full on with me here, we do full on lifting up, not just cleaning what was, lifting it up. And that's very important. It's not just cleaning what those days were. We're elevating it, and like Rav Erez said before, and we justify the existence of the past year. We justify the existence of every single day. That's the potency of the light of Yom Kippur. That is the only day of the year that it works like this. For other things during the year, a little fast day, that's like maybe for the day before. But a Yom Kippur is a different thing. It cleanses and elevates all the days before, because all days are included in this one day that Hashem said, listen, this is mine. This is mine. כמו שכותב שמה רבי נחמן, like Rabbi Nachman writes in that tailor, Kufayin Tet, she'ayidei tikun atanis, through the fixing of the fasting, she'adam me'aneh et atzmo u'mechayeh yamav hametim, that a person, so it's interesting, the word in Hebrew for afflict is me'anot, but in Slonim they always say that it's the same root as the word la'anot, to answer yourself. Ve'inisem es nafshosechem, and Asiv Shom says, it's brought in all this morning. Ve'initem et nafshotechem, you should afflict your souls. The Chassidish Sfarim is saying, on the day that you're afflicting your souls, you're actually giving an answer to all the questions that your soul asks all year long. You're actually giving the right answers to all the shilas of what am I doing here? To all the questions of what's my existence here? What am I here for? So that's whenever I see these words, she'adam me'aneh et atzmo, so I always feel like it's also saying that a person is actually giving himself a chance to be answered. Umechaya yamav hamesim, and you are giving back life, you're resurrecting your dead days. It's not just that you're clean, but Rabbi Nachman says, Zoche gam lesimcha. You also merit be the simcha. And everyone knows, as high as in the past, Simchas Torah or Purim has been in the shul, Yom Kippur is a simcha me'ein kamoa. The simcha of Yom Kippur, it's serious simcha. It's not clowny simcha, but it's real simcha. Sometimes I'm shocked, like at how much energy people have when we're screaming Hashem Hu Elokim. That if the clock stopped, but we continued living, we wouldn't notice and recognize anything. So Rabbi Nachman says, because that's part of what happens to you when you get a sense of, oh my God, I took advantage of this day. That all the days of the last year were included in this. I lifted the whole thing up. What could be more simchadik than that moment? Than feeling justified. You know how many people when they express about their sense of self-worthness, self-worth, the lack of self-worth, and how like sometimes when they're in this, I saw this shiur of a Rav, he was so vulnerable, I couldn't believe it. He's giving a shiur and he was saying how every time he goes to a social gathering, social setting, the child within is the one that's basically running his whole mind, and he's looking for justification for being there. And it takes him a while till like he's halfway through whatever the social setting is to really just to feel that it's okay for him to be here, and everyone acknowledges it's okay for you to be here. Very heavy things. So imagine when you reach the full sense of not only is it justified that I'm here now, but I'm justifying every moment of this past year. What could be a greater simcha than that? That's Rabbi Nachman says the simcha comes up through such an experience. K'moshe Kasu, and then he ties it to a beautiful pasuk in Tehillim. Samchenu ki emos inisanu. It's Gewalt. You know this pasuk in Tehillim? You recognize where you say it? Samchenu ki emos inisanu shnois ra'inu ra'ah yiroya levadecha v'adarcha apneim v'inoyam Hashem Elokeinu aleinu. I mean, everyone says this Shabbos morning in Psukei de Zimra, but it's in Tehillim. Samchenu ki emos inisanu. Give us simcha like in accordance to the days of our initanu, of our affliction. Initanu leshon tanit, of our tinies. Hainu shetiyeh hasimcha ki emos tanis. Our simcha should be like what we experience in the days of fasting. Ki kefi yemei tanis, because just like the days of the tinies, can mechaye hayamim harishonim b'mitzvos u'masim tovim shlo. So too a person resurrects his first days with mitzvahs and his ma'asim tovim. And Rebbe Nachman says, V'chen nivna hasimcha. How is simcha produced? How is simcha built? When I don't feel like I have to give in any more excuse for my justification, for my existence. Simcha is produced when I'm done with trying to justify and give a tailor. It's why it's okay that I'm here. It's infinitely deeper than whatever I just said right now. I'm just putting it out there. But Rabbi Nachman says, Kach nivna hasimcha, real simcha, is not because of any other reason other than shleimus of my days. That I look back and I say, it wasn't for waste. It wasn't levatala.
Makes Sukkot following.
Huh?
Makes Sukkot following Yom Kippur all the more understandable.
All the more exalted. Like elevated beyond. 100%. 100% elevated beyond. So therefore, I mean, I think it's pretty clear from all this. Rabbi Nachman says the tikkun for wasted time and all the other things that are for waste is when it stopped being wasted. How does it stop being wasted? How did Rabbi Nachman say it stops being wasted? Through Tanit. How through Tanit? Because I'm suckling life from yesterday because today I'm not getting anything. That's true about any Tanit. Why Yom Kippur? Because it says Yomim Yutzaru v'lo echad behem. That every day is its own creation, but one of the days has this power that includes within it all days of the year. And when you really let that day shine through your heart, the whole year, every every second of the past year not only gets cleansed, but it gets elevated. And therefore, every second of Yom Kippur.
And simcha is a byproduct.
Huh? Simcha, and then simcha is a byproduct. Simcha is the obvious result of living in such a reality. Therefore, every second of Yom Kippur is so worthwhile. It's so worthwhile. And further, even if you remember this teaching on Yom Kippur and you realize you got sucked into some really dark thoughts, because that tends to happen a lot on Yom Kippur. The more that you know what's in front of you, the more the other side comes and says, I'm going to mess with you like it's no one's business. Then you bank on what Chazal says, Itzumo shel Yom Mechaper, that the day itself, whether you were as holy as you would like to be or not, bank on the fact that the essence of the day itself, it's so potent, it itself brings kapara. You don't bank on this going into it. I like to say you bank on it, you basically, when you're coming out of it, you would say, Chazal says, because if I go into Yom Kippur saying, Itzumo shel Yom Mechaper, then, I don't know if any of you ever had those Yom Kippurs where, you're in shul for very little, but you're fine because you're fasting and you're zenning or whatever it is. So you don't go into the Yantiv with this notion, but you could definitely come out of the Yantiv with the simcha of saying, but the day itself really took care of things. So we should be blessed that the gates of clarity and the gates of taking advantage are open for us this Yom Kippur, and we do it. I would say this following, I can't say, all the Torahs, all the Shiurim this week, Bichlal, this whole Elul and Tishrei, it's been so weird talking about tshuva, because it's a new tshuva. How much can we say, I look back at this last year, and I was a bum this whole year. We were busy like Meshuganas this year, more than we ever were. We were running around like crazy this year. This year we're raising hundreds and thousands of dollars, or going down and Johnny Stein style with tying tzitzis, and every second there was something going on this year. So the sense of I blew the whole year away, it's a little bit less in the air this year. Previous years, this Torah would have really made us feel, in the beginning, really, really depressed, and then very happy that we found something. But this year, that's not at all that's not at all, it's not that much the experience. The experience is something else. But on whatever level that it is, we all know that as holy as maybe we've become and taken advantage of things, of course it could have been higher, and it could have been deeper, and it could have been more real. Of course, that's until Mashiach comes, that's the reality we're living in. So to put faith in the way Chazal set up for us our Yom Tovim, the way the Torah set it up, to make the most of it, and Bezrat Hashem Yitbarach, Am Yisrael will be zocheh for a kapara shlema. And like we said about Shana Tova Metuka, we say you should have a good year and a sweet year. Why? Because good, sometimes I have to just say Gamzu L'Tova. But I don't have to say Gamzu L'Tova when something tastes sweet. Right? When something is sweet, I don't have to say Gamzu L'Tova, because this goodness is sweet. So the kapara, I give us a bracha, shouldn't be something that we have a lot of faith is taking place. But just like in the Zman of the Mikdash, I was talking about this with my girls last night, where Am Yisrael saw, right, the chut, they saw the color change. They saw that there was kapara for Am Yisrael. We should see it in the most tangible way, that Hashem forgives us, has cleansed us, and welcomes us into the sukkah with such safety. Hapare sukkah shalom aleinu v'al kol am Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim. Amen.